Like, do you see that having the potential to be an issue?
I absolutely do see it. First of all, we justify our Amazon purchases all the time. We're like, I need this, I need this, I need this. And frankly, what we desire,
I need.
yeah. I mean, we enjoy the convenience of it, and it just makes it so easy. I will also admit that I think in my mind sometimes I'm like, well, I can send this back if it doesn't work out. And so sometimes you can overbuy. And I just think that if couples don't communicate about what they're doing, these things quickly add up. Welcome. This is For Better and Worth,
The podcast where we don't believe you have to sacrifice your relationship while you grow and build your net worth.
We are your hosts.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Ericka Young. And we're so glad you're joining us today.
All right, y'all, let's get into it.
Hey, babe, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. How are you today?
I'm good. Today was incredibly productive for me.
Yeah, I feel good about today. You know, I'm prepping for some work travel, but it was a good day.
Yeah, you're leaving me.
I gotta say, today was a good day.
Oh, are we about to rap and sing? Is that what we about to do? Just tell me what direction we going today, babe. That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I think we started these episodes out like this. I don't know. I got a little voice to me or something. Sometimes.
Not you getting jiggy with it. Okay, come back. Okay. So yeah, you're leaving me. This work travel.
Yeah. Well, I'm not leaving you. I'm just going to work and I'm coming back.
I know. I'm gonna be here, and
What's
you
up,
won't
Queen?
be here.
What's up, Queen?
Hey, King. What's
But
up?
I started to wear my crown, but it wouldn't fit over my headphones.
And you also don't want to mess up your hair, so.
Well, brother got hair this phase in life. I'm just rolling with it, people.
You know what? Anyway, so today, what are we talking about, babe?
I think we're talking about the number one thing that you guys are all into, and that is Amazon.
Okay, so are you saying you're not into it?
Well, I remember a day when I would go on Amazon and I would say, what do you even get on here? Like, what do I buy? You remember that?
I actually do, and I was confused by your line of questioning because I just didn't understand it.
You were like, there is everything. What
Yes.
do you mean? What do you buy?
You didn't even know how to navigate it. You're definitely like, there's a pattern here, Mr. Old School.
No, I was overwhelmed, but
Yeah.
we're going to talk about Amazon being a trap because they make it so easy. It's so easy. So, let's get into it.
Yeah, so we are amongst those who get the deliveries to their house on a routine basis. I actually have something in my Amazon cart right now that I need to purchase before this weekend.
I must admit, I have something in my Amazon cart as well. But, I'm beyond that point now of figuring out what to buy. If I need it, I go to Amazon first.
I know. And I do wish that I had thought of Amazon before, he did.
Look,
How
they
about
just announced the Forbes list of the richest people, and Jeff Bezos was number 3. So, I mean,
who was number 1 and 2?
Arnault, the owner of Louis Vuitton and fashion brands, and Elon Musk was number 2, and I'm pretty sure Jeff Bezos was number 3.
Got it. Wow. Well,
Yeah, he was, because I remember Larry Ellison was number 4, the CEO owner of Oracle.
I'm gonna need some ladies on the top of that list, but anywho, moving forward.
Yeah.
So, with this accessibility and the convenience, I feel like this is why Amazon has blown up, because it's all the same stuff you can get anywhere else. But it just they make it easy. You don't have to literally go anywhere.
Yeah, but I think it's becoming a trap for a lot of couples because, someone is ordering all the time, and we hear the jokes like, people are hiding boxes, or they got, things worked out with the delivery man. Like, no, don't put them over here. Put the boxes over here, or they give them a garage. You can get Amazon a garage code now and have a place that they leave your packages. But what do you think about like relationships and money and how that can become an issue? Like, do you see that having the potential to be an issue?
I absolutely do see it. First of all, we justify our Amazon purchases all the time. We're like, I need this, I need this, I need this. And frankly, what we desire,
I need.
yeah. I mean, we enjoy the convenience of it, and it just makes it so easy. I will also admit that I think in my mind sometimes I'm like, well, I can send this back if it doesn't work out. And so sometimes you can overbuy. And I just think that if couples don't communicate about what they're doing, these things quickly add up. I just recently had a client that I was talking to whose Amazon bill for the month was over $350.
Woo! That's like a grocery bill right there.
And that's not high. I'm going to tell you the truth.
Wait,
That's
hold
not
on.
high.
Hold on. Time out. You said $350 a month in Amazon is not high.
No, that's,
what are they buying?
I mean, think about it. That's only actually like $10, $12 a day. I mean, it's when you think
Who
about
spends $10 a day? Do you spend $10 every day?
No, I don't. But what I'm saying is when you break it down.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
No.
This could be a problem for folks.
It can, but I think our mentality is that we think these $10 or $12 or $15 moments don't add up to very much.
Yes, okay. I see where you were going now.
And $15 per day, every single day, is $450 a month. And so we don't enjoy the process of trying to figure out what we spent in total. And so we avoid that, and we just simply say we needed whatever it is that we purchased.
Yeah, need is such a loose term with most of that stuff, because I know I go back and I look at my Amazon cart, and it actually was stuff that I needed. We were renovating our house. I was buying like light bulbs for light fixtures, or I was buying, I bought creatine, or, I bought like just random, workout stuff, or, this little thing.
But see, he's saying all of that is a need.
Well, a brother got to keep himself together,
So. But we justify, case in point, our purchases, right? Like, so you are a much more intentional shopper.
Absolutely.
So I will say that about you is that you are a very intentional shopper. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that you do very consistently is you say, hey, are you getting anything from Amazon? Do you need to, you know what I mean? Like, you have been really intentional about that, because you're not a huge shopper.
I thought it was funny though, because you said, well, no, you don't need to wait for me. Just go ahead and buy. We have Prime. Like, you can get a delivery every day. And I was thinking, processing in my head, like, why would people be getting deliveries every day? But you were like saying, it's cool, we got Prime, don't worry about it, shipping is free.
Right. I was thinking of the shipping. I think sometimes, because the old school was you had to, get a certain amount in order
get
for
up
shipping.
To like $25, $50.
Yeah, so I think
whatever.
You were kind of stuck in that mode. But also, like, I just think it can be a challenge when people aren't communicating.
Well, I think I was also thinking about the environment, reducing
one
packages.
package versus many.
Yes, and like what's funny is Amazon has that feature now that talks about, do you care if your product is shown, because they'll put it in one type of packaging, or they will consolidate your shipments together, and it may come a day later, but it will all come as one. So I was like, okay, look at Amazon trying to be, environmentally friendly. And so I was always thinking about things like that.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Consolidating shipments. And, like, I only buy from Amazon when I need. And so if there's like a running tally of things that we need, I feel like, well, just throw my things in there.
Yeah.
And I can get them whenever, because clearly it's not a need, because a need would dictate I have to have it now.
Yeah.
But because it's like, okay, well, I need this little thing, or I want this. I'm gonna stop saying need. I want this little thing, so just throw it in your cart and get it whenever.
Yeah.
So but I don't think people do that. I think people do, like you said, Amazon, boom, check out. Oh yeah, I saw something else, boom, check out. I wonder how many people place multiple Amazon orders in the same day.
Oh, I would be curious on that.
I would be curious to see what that statistic looks like.
Yeah, me too. But you know what I started doing? I have the things that are actually a need. there are just a handful of things like our specific, garbage bag
Yeah.
or,
You put
you
them on
know,
subscription.
I do. So like, vacuum bags, or I don't want to run out of certain things. Like we have our little scents for the house and you know what I mean? Things like that. They're on subscription. And I
Right.
know how I looked at my Amazon purchases and I know how often I typically order them. And I just said, you know what? I want to say it's 5%. And then I don't have to think about it because it just comes. Now,
See, now that sounds like you got to save some money.
yeah,
Yes.
see,
Come on now.
that's
That's what I'm
what's up.
talking about.
That's what's up. I mean, every dollar counts, right? But it's less than $100 for those subscriptions, and I'm saving a few bucks here and there, and then I also don't have to think about it. So the ease of that is definitely something that I've done for the stuff that I would consider a necessity around here. That
So let me ask you this. So when we talk about we started with Amazon, but there are a number of platforms out there that are like this because everybody is going to this subscription based service, be it Target or Walmart or others. They're following this same type of model that Amazon has made popular. So when we think about like couples and how they maneuver money and how they navigate through life, what are some pitfalls that you've identified or you see, and then we can talk about that. What are some pitfalls that people get into with these subscription based services? We've already talked about wants versus needs. That's a big pitfall that you can start with, but what are some others that you think of?
well, the very first one is being unaware, right?
Okay.
So being
Okay.
unaware of how much you're actually spending and not discussing it between each other because people think that they don't have to talk about the $10 or the $20 purchases. They think they don't have to do those things. And maybe they don't if you've already discussed that that's not something you need to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we don't talk about some of that because we consider it our miscellaneous money. Like you take some miscellaneous money out the account and I pretty much leave it in the account. And,
And what's funny is I take my miscellaneous money and I don't even spend it.
right.
I just save it up.
But
It's
I
like
think
the little kid that got their allowance is like, nope, I'm not spending it. It's like I just keep
you
it.
do. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, why you got all this money? Because you just haven't been spending it.
Right. And
So,
you're like, why are you buying this, big thing? I'm like, well, I've been saving my money.
yeah. And it helps, though. It does help with budgeting. And I
Yeah.
think being unaware is a challenge for couples because most of the time in any relationship, there's one person who does most of the shopping or preparation, or especially with kids, handling the needs. And by and large, this is statistical. This is not coming out of the air, but like 90% of, shopping decisions are made by women. And that being able to do that and having, if you will, that kind of power and control over what is being purchased can be a challenge if you're not discussing it. So I just think being unaware is a really big thing for couples.
Yeah, I think that can definitely be a big area. But I also think, in addition to just the shopping, they offer all of these other subscription type items like Amazon Music
Oh,
or
yeah.
Prime Video
Mm-hmm.
and now Amazon is affiliated with so many other stations because we may have went away from cable, but we're right back at cable, people,
Mm-hmm.
because now it's all subscription based. And we even found out, like, you press something and you have a 7-day trial and you don't cancel that trial. And next thing you know, you're paying $9-10 a month for, BET Plus or
Yeah.
Paramount or, whatever subscription. And I had to laugh at myself because, your mom was here visiting recently and she was looking at the television and smart TVs, they bring all of the services up. And she was like, oh, which of these do you have? And I was like, we got like the first 6. And I was
Terrible.
like, I
Terrible.
was like, wait a minute. 1, 2. I was like, well, yeah, we do have the first
She
6.
wanted to know what part of the TV she could utilize. And frankly,
Right.
it was most of it.
Right. And so it made me even start thinking like, man, I got to review these because am I watching all of these? Can I save some money on these subscriptions? Because that $7.99, $9.99, Netflix. I remember when Netflix was like $7.99, and now it's like $17.99. When
Yeah.
it hits that account every month.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait a minute, am I spending money that I should be, putting somewhere else? And there's so many. It's so easy for couples, if they're on a plan or they have a goal, to kind of get caught off guard with some of this stuff if you're not paying attention, to your point.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So, do you feel like we've ever had, like, I'm not talking about today's subscriptions that you just mentioned, but do you feel like there's been a season where we've had a disconnect where, one of us was unaware of spending and things were
hmm.
like not 100% above board, if you will?
Well, I don't think there's ever been anything that wasn't above board. I think it may have been, there may have been seasons over, the last 20, 25 years where you were paying attention more to something and I was paying less attention.
Mm-hmm.
Or I was paying more attention and, you were paying less. So, and I'm trying to think of a situation that occurred in.
Mm-hmm.
But like I know for a season, you were doing like, the wardrobe subscription boxes, and I was like, dang man, this thing is coming like every month. And then I was like, what's up with this?
We had a conversation though. No. I made for certain that I said, "Hey, this is something I want to try."
I know, but like you tried it, but then it like
Kept coming.
right. It was like you're not trying this anymore. this is a way of life now.
It became a thing.
Yeah, but I think it prompted me to pay more attention and start asking you more questions about it. And honestly, when we talk about things like this, it's not about the Amazon or the Target. It's about the communication that's not occurring as a result of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think when those times have arisen, what it forced us to do was to circle back and check in with one another
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, I noticed this is going on. Are we still on track? Because what it all comes back to is, are you on track? If your plan and your goal is to get out of debt and to save, build up savings, you have to give something up to accomplish that. And we've always been givers, and so we wanted to make sure we always gave our tithe and we were faithful to that part of our life. And so I think you have to make sure that you circle back and check in.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because if these types of sneaky subscription or convenient ways of shopping are contributing to you not reaching your goals, then we got a problem, right? So if it's interrupting the flow of you getting the job done, you got a problem.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? You bring up the clothing subscription. What I end up doing at one point, because I even felt like, oh, well, am I doing too much? I said, hey, what is a healthy, an easy
Right.
to remember budget number for me to stay underneath? So like, let's talk about this. And because I wanted to hold myself accountable. And I think that, that's a mature, way to look at how do you get what you want without overdoing it and still be able to reach your goal. That was
Yeah.
helpful.
And that way you didn't feel like you had to always be circling back,
Right.
checking in, because we
No.
set like the threshold. And again, it goes back to communicating about what's important.
Yeah.
And if you do that, that's how you avoid a lot of the pitfalls that can come along with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's man, communication is so important. It is so cliche, but if you master it, you can have good success at it.
Yeah. So, do you feel like you've ever had a moment where you didn't want to share something with me about finances? Because I feel like one of the things that happens with people when it's just readily at your fingertips is really easy to not share, right? Like it's really easy to, do things that you're just really not
I
communicating. Have
think
you ever felt like that?
I think the only time I've ever felt like that is, we have shared hobbies, but then we have hobbies that, are yours, and I have hobbies that are mine. And sometimes I'm buying things to, go along with my hobby.
What hobby are we talking about, babe?
Well, we don't have to get into that right
Why
now.
not?
But I think sometimes because you may not, it's not something you enjoy doing, you're like, well, why are you spending money on that? Or,
Yeah.
if I'm making a big purchase, you're like, well, why are you buying that?
Yeah.
And you see the magnitude of the purchase. And like, I think sometimes that's why I even just would, take my miscellaneous or blow money and just set it aside.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I don't feel like I have to justify my purchase
Yeah.
with you. I'm like, hey, this is my blow money. This is my miscellaneous. I've just been sitting on, and now I've decided
Mm-hmm.
to do something with it.
Yeah.
And it's almost the same thing for you. You had the subscription service, and we set a threshold, and that threshold pretty much matched what my miscellaneous spending was. I just chose, instead of spending it on clothes, I was just putting it away. Even though what I find is I'll come back and I'll buy clothes anyway if I need it.
Yes, we all get what we want around here. You know what I'm saying? We all do.
We are very fortunate and we don't take that for granted, but we've been grinding for years,
Mm-hmm.
and the grind doesn't stop because we still have goals that we're trying to accomplish and levels that we're trying to get to. Well, there's levels to this thing.
Well, what's interesting is just this week we prepared a budget, and we had a lot of different things to put in that budget, and some stuff didn't get on the budget. And because there were some things that were more important than others, and quite frankly, you never get away from having to plan what you're going to do with your money, and that's just being wise with the resources that come into your hands. And I think a lot of people think, well, once we get out of debt, we don't have to do this anymore, and that is not true. We still practice this,
Yes.
and we still make choices, and we still say, okay, this is going to happen and this is going to wait because certain things are more important this month.
Look, we still do this, people, because just because we got out of debt a long time ago, we still budget. Like she said, just this weekend we were budgeting.
Yeah.
And so we still stick to these same values and principles because we still have those bigger goals that we want to accomplish. And if we're talking about the budget, we had saving, and we were like, well, we've got to prioritize saving over some of this other stuff. So what is going to have to come off of the budget?
Yeah.
And I remember I was talking to someone recently, and I was going back to that classic example of the professor walks in and they have a jar and they put, rocks and, all this different, they put a bunch of rocks or like golf balls in, and they say, is it full? And everybody says yes. And then the professor put in like a bunch of pebbles, and then he said, is it full? And they were like, yes. Then he put in sand. Is it full? And I think they started to get the picture. Then he put like, I don't know, water or something. But the whole point was put the big things in first.
Yeah.
And when we budget, we always put those big things in, the things that matter the most. Because if you put everything else in before that, you won't be able to fit the big things in.
So good.
And so, that's the food, clothing, shelter, transportation, and the need that may arise that you have to fulfill right now. Put those big things in, then come back, add all the pebbles, which are some of the smaller things that have to fit around some of those big things. And then put the sand in, which are those fine things that if there's room, you can make those things fit. But sometimes you got to just decide what's the big things and what's the pebble and what's the sand.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, with most budgets, everything isn't going to fit. And we even had to say, well, we'll just do this next month because it wasn't a priority for this month.
Yeah. And it's interesting because one of the things that I sometimes do is I'll add up the things that are actually the sand, or I'll separate it mentally because I want to know, okay, you know what are all of these little things that are popping up that are causing me to not maybe get this bigger picture goal? And I think sometimes that's really important. To how much are we spending on entertainment? How much is, personal care? How much is on the kids? And when you start looking at the discretionary dollars and you see how much it's adding up to, you might make different choices on some of those discretionary dollars. So
So how do you think, like, we're talking about these, Amazon traps and subscription service traps. So do you think people will align some of these things to, those big rocks or pebbles? Like, I'm sure people are going to fit some of this in their budget, and we're not telling you not to fit it in your budget, but I think you have to just be aware.
Yeah, I think it helps to know how to be aware. So I think some of the things that I tell people to do are to look at, your Amazon account because it will tell you how much you spent that month. It will tell you, it'll give you a listing and you need to actually look at it. Or if you already track your expenses, I would just, look at how many times Amazon came through all by itself. But I think the other thing is to see what you're spending money on. Like, is it
Yeah.
always, for some folks, it's always diapers and wipes. And for some people, it's probably not a whole lot of food. But like nowadays, I'm buying protein off of Amazon. And so when you start looking at, what it is that you're purchasing, maybe this is some groceries or
Right.
maybe it's
That's exactly what I was going to
yeah,
say.
maybe it's a category attached to it. If it's household goods, typically, is it a need? So then you can kind of make some better decisions by looking at that. And then a big thing I think would be helpful for folks is just to have an Amazon category on the budget.
Yeah.
Literally just put it on there because then you can say, all right, well, if it was really important, it got on, it got
It made the
spent.
budget.
It made
It
it.
made the budget.
And then if it wasn't, then you had a limit and you knew you weren't going over so that nothing else in the budget gets touched because Amazon was overspent on.
Right. Right. I'm glad you said that. If it's part of grocery funds, you can go and you can buy from Amazon and it comes out of a category, but it has to be tied to something. And if you are, no matter where people are on their journey, sometimes I think you have to make some sacrifice, because one thing that comes to mind often with me is I'm willing to say no. Like you said, maybe you'll sacrifice something. And I know sometimes I'm like, look, I'm willing to put some physical labor in, or I'm willing to do something else if it will save us some money. And I'm trying to do something else because it's all about the bigger yeses for me, because I want to say yes to the things I want to say yes to. And sometimes those things I want to say yes to, but they get a little no or asterisk because, I can maybe do something else, do the work myself or something like that. And that's a motivator to me, because then I say, well, okay, well, I got to do this.
That brings up something about you that I've learned just recently that, I
I'm
think
frugal.
that is not the word. Okay. That is an incorrect statement. You think you're frugal. No, but you have your certain things that you
I
feel
just
are
love I
worth
love
it.
your expression. You're like, you are not frugal.
No. Mm-mm. No, absolutely not. But there are
I
things.
try, people.
Do
I
you?
try.
How does that?
Well,
Okay, what was the last time you tried to be frugal?
I bought some stuff on sale.
What was it, babe?
I needed a couple dress shirts, and I
Okay.
went out and I bought them,
Yes.
and I paid regular price for them. So I wasn't frugal, but I went back and they were on sale. So then I went back and I said, "Hey, I just bought these shirts. I'm gonna need you to give me this sale price." And I ended up getting an extra shirt out of it.
Okay, so that's great, but that is not.
Okay, just go back to your point. This
That is
isn't about me right now.
no, it is about you. So it's totally about you because you think you're frugal, and there are so many things that you're like, that's $10. Like it's like blasphemy. You're like, I
Well,
can't even believe somebody would pay $10 for
well,
that.
I think it's because like we talked about this. I've gone to the grocery store with you, and inflation is real, and I see the prices and stuff. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm not even hungry no more. You know, I'm like, let's just get some meat and some white rice and some vegetables and call it good.
No snacks,
It's like, this is ridiculous.
no fruit. You don't want no drinks. You like
Water.
your see. Mm-mm. So that's cheap
Okay.
and not frugal. We gonna have
But you were saying
we gonna have a whole episode on cheap, frugal, and
everything in between. So, but you were saying you learned something about me recently.
Yes, that you are a person who has a threshold for specific purchases, like what you'll spend on a suit, on some shoes, clothing items, or your hobbies,
Yeah.
versus going to the grocery store and you like a gallon of milk costs this. Like it is amazing to me that there's some things that are actually inexpensive that you think cost so much.
For that singular item.
Item, you would never pay.
It surpasses my threshold
Yeah.
of value. But I think that's the thing about everything in life. It's worth what people are willing to pay.
That part.
But also, I mean, people ascribe value to things, and you have to choose that it's as valuable as they say, or it's not as valuable. And sometimes with groceries, because there are so many alternatives, if I'm in the grocery store and I see something and I think the value has exceeded my threshold, then I find an alternative.
And so it's interesting because I'm the complete opposite, I believe, because
you just throw stuff in the basket.
Food is a necessity. And if I want to cook a specific thing or I want to eat a certain way, I'm just going to do it.
Yes.
And I used to be a big couponer. So let me be clear. I used to make sure that we saved all of our dollars. But the other thing is that the big ticket items that you're willing to spend money on, I think is completely unnecessary.
Right.
I think it's completely unnecessary. So
look, people, we're just like everybody else. We see things differently, but we see a lot of things the same.
Yeah, I mean.
But at the end of the day, what makes things work for us is that we talk about it.
Yeah, we're yin and yang,
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's okay to be different as long as you can communicate about it.
Yeah.
And you can be on the same page when it comes to how you're going to go about making progress, how you're going to go about accomplishing your goal. Because when we get on that stuff, we're 100% in alignment.
Yeah.
And if we aren't in alignment about something, we talk it out, we debate it out, we hash it out.
We sleep on it.
Right. But then we ultimately come back to a mutual decision that we have agreed upon financially to move forward. Some of this other stuff is like, it's not going to derail the relationship.
What you would say is, this is not going to change the course of life. So
I know those $10 groceries aren't going to change the course of life. It's just a principle for me because I think that there are a lot of people who are struggling right now.
Yeah, it is.
And so I take offense to it because I know we were out traveling together and we were in a smaller community where we weren't in the city. We were in a smaller, more rural community. And we saw like the prices of things there because they had like one grocery store. And we went in to buy some things and I was like, wow.
I mean, everything was double the price.
I was like, wow, this is what they're doing. They are like pillaging people with these prices. And you got to think that the incomes of that community are not higher than they would be in, the nearby large cities that had major industry.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, this just doesn't seem right. And so sometimes I'm thinking about that a little bit. And when I'm in the store, and I don't know how we got off into the grocery store, but when I'm there, I'm just like, this isn't right because I empathize with people who are struggling. And that's why it's a passion of ours to really just kind of share insights with you all so that you can get aligned and be on the same page and change your family tree and get where it is you are trying to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do we make it worth it, honey?
Look, you make it worth it by paying attention and canceling some of those subscriptions. And, you have to just know that we've talked about needs and wants in past episodes, but it continues to rear its head.
Yeah.
Is it truly a need or is it essentially a want? I'm going to tell you all, go look at your Amazon cart right now and look at that and see how much stuff is need and how much stuff is want.
Yeah.
Drop it in the comments in the next episode and let us know what you think.
And I'm going to put a challenge out to people.
Okay. Come on, make it worth it.
Yes. The way that you can make it worth it is to just do an experiment. This is just an experiment. It is not long term. But what if you disconnected your credit card or your debit card from Amazon?
You challenging people now.
From Target or from the places that make it easy for you to press and purchase or buy right away, and just see how you change your behavior. What does that mean when you take it off and for 30 days, you say, I am not.
You said 30 days? Ooh, I see people going into withdrawal already.
It is only 1 month. It's an experiment. It's just a game you play with yourself just to see how you would move and maneuver differently. And I would also add, would you spend less because you don't have that convenience? So that's a challenge I'm throwing out there. I hope somebody takes me up on it.
Wow. Well, I like that you challenge the people because challenges tend to make you better.
Yep.
Go ahead and get better, people. This was a good conversation. I'm glad we talked about it because these are things that everybody, encounters, and I think it's a trap for a number of people. So
yeah, let's not get trapped. So until next time,
we're out. Thank you for spending some of your time with us today.
We appreciate all of your support. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to this podcast.
You can find us on Instagram at For Better and Worth.
And sign up to receive our free guide, The 7 Reasons Your Money Relationship Isn't Working with Your Partner, on ForBetterandWorth.com.
Until next time, we're out of here.